folks. Nick Tucker here with the Historical Fencing Guild. And I don't have my headphones on. We'll try that again, folks. Howdy. Nick Tucker here with the Historical Fencing Guild. The Historical Fencing Guild is a proud member of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Hail Frog G in the house. Sometimes I get the horn. Sometimes I get to hang it loose. My hands just do their thing. Guys, I'm so glad to see you. Remember, the Historical Fencing Guild is brought to you by The Simple Sword by Nicholas Tucker. The easiest, simplest, most sane, rational stick figures as diagrams way to learn how to sword fight. And the fighting axe. Same approach. Plain, easy, simple little wrapper. How to make axes go. Alrighty, we have a lot on the menu. Before we go any further, I gotta shout some other things, and I don't even have my head thing. It's chaos over here, and you know what, guys? Between you, me, Frog G, Bladed Thesis, and Flying Feline, some of the most amazing people with the lovely Foxy bouncing right on in on time. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with a little applied chaos on a Friday night. Why? Because we need it, people. So, relative news to the people who follow me. Luke Stone is conscious. He's still on a trach, but he's starting to breathe with just oxygen for periods of time and communicating with a push-button board. That's incredible. For those of you who are like, but Nick, who is Luke Stone? Well, Luke Stone is the amazing author behind, and it just fell off. Well, we're going to roll with it anyway. Behind Hybrids, the Sons of Gods, which I made the RPG for. So I'm hoping as he recovers, we can work for that to bring you guys new and exciting stuff. I'm all about that. This is called Prayers Working, and I'm big into that. What's on the menu, folks? Well, let me get my groove on. Fat Guy Happy Dance time. There's a lot of good stuff on the menu and a lot of good stuff coming. I have to put a huge shout out to my Patreon members. You guys have been stepping up, and you contact me. We're starting to get that rapport. I want to be more active on Patreon, so I'm going to be. And I've got some stuff that you guys get to hear about now. As you can see, I'm a bit more high energy than I have been the last few weeks. That's because, in part, I've been recovering from a very, very unpleasant illness. And, filming with a fever and feeling like dog poop is really draining. Oh, I'm going to get into that because I'm glad you love the hood. Let me make sure I'm decent, Okay, but I've worked through my antibiotics. I still have some problems, but I'm a lot better. I also found out that the X-ray scans came back clean. Considering the last time I had an X-ray scan about 15 years ago, my lower spine looked like a zigzag puzzle. I'm doing really, really good, and I'm kind of like, hi. Oh, I'm getting things, and that means I'm going to be getting my notices. But yes, I have spent the last 15 years under the we don't know when you're going to need a wheelchair, but you will. And now I might not. And that's awesome. But yes. I have to mute this before things get hinky because it does love to make noise. Now, to the folks who message me, I do keep my Facebook Messenger up so that I can tell, because some of you are a little uncomfortable chatting publicly. If you're watching this, please turn on the live chat, or I seem schizophrenic. I mean, I seem schizophrenic anywhere, but you know what I mean. Where did Not Bob go? Oh, Not Bob the Skull has bounced off. Oh, here we are. Headhunter. Anyway, first off, this is my new hoodie, and it goes like, look at this. I got a trench length hoodie. I am so happy. I've been chasing one of these. Couldn't find it in brown, but being that I'm short and fat, it goes down to my knees, and I love it. So I can walk around brooding and scare the locals, which is one of the great joys in life. And yes, I got this on Amazon. It's very, very lightweight. I can see through it, but that's okay. It's a lightweight, fun hoodie. With the thermal shirt, I'm cooking, but that's okay. Laundry day hits the best of us. Now, going through the comments real quick before we get to the next stuff. Yeah, you just sadly fucked. Oh, I am so sorry that you guys have a cold. Hot beverages, hot tea. I hope you get your pizza still. Extra garlic. As a wise man once said, garlic is good for digestion, Jackie. And one more thing. But Johnny's talking about Manos. To those who know, amongst being a sword master, I'm also retired paranormal consultant. We'll leave that aside. We'll get to that later. I'm also a game designer, gamer, and a bit of an artist. Now, I had completely lost the use of my hands earlier this year, in that I could only grip this much and I could barely feed myself. So my art is coming back. So you will see a kind of dip in my art style and some changes. But Manos is the one of the unexpected bosses that comes up in a game. I want to give a lot of prop because Woodrow, also known as Kirby on the Dice Dudes and Dames. Dice Dames and Dudes. Dyslexia Captain gets in a hold again. Dyslexia Captain. Wow, we're all over it. No, I feel you, Johnny. But Johnny's just trying to get ahead. Anyway, Manos is a demon who's been wreaking havoc, or a devil. There's some discussion. And being me, I like to draw fan art. So if you go on www.nickt.deviantart.com, which is, of course, my art channel, you can find that picture. And I am glad you like it. That's a light grade. I want to do a full body of him looking really, well, diabolical, because I find that people really like the pictures and the maps and stuff. So I'm trying to step up the production for that show. And because people are asking and talking about it, I'll throw the link in the chat. Boom, shakalaka. Okay, so we got a lot to talk about. First off, I want to put a big celebration out to our dear friend Johnny Cage. On my Twitter, at @nTockard. So just look up Nicholas Tockard. This face, which randomly peels around. I need to do some new profile pics. Anyway, I threw a vote to see who liked which of the commenter NPCs best. And our man Johnny won by a substantial lead, followed by, of course, the immortal and impressive Frog G. Now, I have to stay out of that because I don't play favorites. But, I was surprised that Anti Noodle didn't do so well. But, hey, Luke! Luke from our game over on Red Valkyrie is here, too. So we're really getting the gang together. Yeah, this is a great day, and it's a great time to get ahead. This is not Bob. Not Bob is not Bob the Skull. I have Bob the Skull back there, and maybe I'll finish him. I've spent years upgrading Bob the Skull. I want to put a full abracadabra down in one of these days. I just haven't had the time and the hand stuff. Maybe this year I'll put that on Bob the Skull when I was a teacher. Well, substitute teacher and notes. And pop. A classroom aide. I dealt with special needs. Basically, friendly, loving punching bag, which is my specialty. So, hi, Cindy. www.ckoebp.com. Now, I know I am flying high, fine as wine, having myself a big and rich time. But real Bob, I'm thinking about it. I'm really. It's the whole. Do I hole cut under him and put a color change? I have some really neat lighting things, because what you guys don't know is, as the heat leaves and my brain stops overheating, because I have a very large head and it's not ventilated nearly enough, my hair is thinning for everyone's protection, but it can only go so far. I get real crafty. So part of my other channel, which is my much neglected art channel, there may be some new stop motion BSR in the works. There will also be, I want to do some crafts. Now, as part of the move, floods, and fires, I lost a lot of stuff. And one of the things that I lost due to just the assorted disasters that periodically plague me was my specialty toolbox. So in poverty, I had acquired and improvised a large number of things for making rivets and all this leatherwork stuff. Well, I was looking and they had fallen greatly in price on Amazon. And since I have lovely guild members and I have lovely patrons who give me the money to keep things going, I was able to order new rivets, new Chicago screws, new rivet setter, a lot of the tools so that I can then from here's a case, I can say this case costs $20. You can order it here. Give you the length. I can take some leather scrap and I could start making things that apply to you guys. So as things improve, I'll be doing some probably not live stream until my reorganization plot hits. But then, because I want to show how to make a gorget because they are the hardest piece of armor to find. I want to show how to make bracers because they're the simplest piece of armor to make. And then we can look at some of the other things depending on what leather I have and, what I can acquire, assuming that's interesting. And then maybe I'll do some 0 to low level leather engraving and embossing in the near future, if that is something y'all are interested in. But to do things like that, I need the feedback. I need I need I need the funds, and I can do that because of people supporting my Patreon. I have made 2 new Patreon levels, and one at the bequest of. Ooh, nice. Yes, yes, yes. Um, Steve Clausen, where there is a $50 level where anybody who takes that will get a custom full video lesson designed on the style you asked me to, and I will do a personalized video for you breaking down how to fight that style after the first one comes through. I may do an alternate where I'd make a trainer for you at request and send it, but right now I'm easing back into hand tools, and I will be starting physical therapy in the near future to try to regain the ability to have these meat hooks do something proper. So good things are coming, and again, it's that quiet time where I'm doing a lot of things behind the scenes, trying to help you guys up. I'm glad you're looking for making up stuff up. Um, so let me know. I'm hoping I can get some pictures from Steve. I made him some bracers, and he has very large forearms, so they were actually big enough to almost be chess pieces for me at the time. Uh, and it's the whole I got to track down, go through my leather, and decide what needs to be what. But some of it may be very spanky indeed. So keep prized, and please like, share, subscribe. I am fighting the algorithm so hard right now. It's not even funny. Between Facebook deciding that my keywords are wrong and YouTube deciding that I'm some kind of extremist because I talk about fencing weapons. Hint, they're almost all plastic. YouTube algorithm overlords. I'm teaching people to train to build themselves up in a world that's scary. Please let me help people. Please let me keep helping people or I'm going to have to find another host site. All right. Your thesis is making a scabbard for what is the name of the gin? He told me it and I'm losing it. Top chat. See, I need all chat. Quit hiding from me. Yeah, okay. Wow, I just got a whole bunch of different okay. Awesomes. I lost a lot of the greetings when you guys came on because YouTube doesn't like me. Anyway, bam, bam, bam. Scabbard for the Black Green Dynasty trainer. Yes. So thank you. Got that back on the menu. Uh, yes, we have the scabbard. Uh, I have seen what I was looking for. Found what I found was making low cost sheaths for fishing equipment, and it was a guy who was taking like the cheap fillet knives and using the thin wall style of uh, PVC to heat it up and squash it basically under this really neat rig he designed. I'll try to find you the link and put it up in the guild channel. Remind me later, and because there's some neat tricks. He made a compressor to give you that very Kydex like feeling, and I'm very fascinated in that because a lot of the things I want to make will need sheaths. And I do prefer practical over impractical. So yeah, I will definitely try to find that. It was like $2 fishing equipment or something. I cross reference a lot to do what I do because for a long time the resources that I wanted weren't there, so I had to reappropriate concepts and resources from other sources to do what we need to do. Asking myself, what would Burt Gummer do in this situation? Now, okay, I want to talk about something and I need to bring it up. So we'll go here. It's starting to get cooler and the weather is starting to get dubious. This is a great time for folks who are trying to get started. Now, I'm going to show you pictures and I'm going to talk about the items before we get into it. Copy. All right. Many of the people here are fans of great weapons, long weapons, etc. And what they want, that actually doesn't have my little caveat on the end. So I may have to tweak it later, but I'd rather get it to you than get credit for it. But the indoor trainers are something you want to think about. Now, you can use the logic of the companies that make formal indoor trainers, like our good friends at Purple Heart Armory, to make your own indoor trainers. And what I recommend for that is to make a light, probably wooden, although wood prices have gotten dubious, so you may engage in plastic, our good friend cutting boards, but get what's called a Chicago screw or a threaded post, which is just, it's a cylinder, it sticks out. I'll be able to show you when the new order comes in because I use them for leatherworking, and a screw or bolt, depending on the head, threads in to give you a spaced connector. By stacking fender washers, you can easily add modular weight to the end of that. So what you would do, it would be the equivalent, and I'm not saying do this, I just need the equivalent. You make yourself something that looks like this much of the sword, and then you add weight to the end. Now, if you're doing great sword training, um, obviously, PHA sells some really neat trainers. But I always cater to the broke. That's kind of, I cater to the broken. I know my people. But 1 second, sorry, I'm a little thirsty today. Start your training, do your drilling. Now the problem is a lot of weapons, like I said, are too long. I've discussed this a lot, especially great weapons, but by using that style of trainer, and a lot of people don't know they're out there. You can keep your muscle memory, and while your point control may suffer, and we can talk about some incredibly technomancer ways to get around that, wherein I may have to make another visit to our dear friend Dollar Tree to make something that will help, because there are ways around that if you're tracking blade alignment. But you could also do the same thing, just make a PVC modular short weapon, and then just add different weights. If that's something you guys would like to see me try to do as a low-cost greatsword trainer, hit me up in the comments, and I will put that right on my notes here, because a lot of this is like, there are some companies that make those beautiful indoor targets, and I showed you many, many weeks ago how to make indoor targets. Now, one thing, you have to keep in mind the art of the scrounge, okay? And we are absolutely, I'm a proud improvisational talk. Yes, yes, use a closed fan. Um, you want something with weight to it, but is short enough to wield. I like to modulate the weight. So you want something that you can add more weight as you get stronger over the time period. Now there are some people, well, it's not perfect. Oh, thrift stores are amazing. Uh, I want you guys to get past something. There is a major sentiment that it's not perfect. Folks, it is not an all or nothing. We have this zero sum mentality where it's either yes or no. Guys, if you are working with 75 or 80% or 25% of the weight of an item to keep training, you are better than not. And that is the scale. Your opponent, your scale is not, I want to be the very best. Yeah, only one person can, but you could be better than you were yesterday. So that's what I really want to lean. And guys, don't forget to hit the like button. Okay. Uh, but they're out there. So I will give you you can get a hold of our friends at Purple Heart, and just order it. And I really kind of suggest that if you have the money. If you have the money, it isn't worth your time usually to devote to crafting something unless it's something you enjoy to do. If you don't have the money, you take the time. That's a balance. That's a give and take. Um, and I really think that doing that, and this is a great time to start training your uh, your knife skills. Now, where I am, thrift stores are awesome, but they're also very, very uh, predated, predicated. I'm sorry, because I live near a major. Well, the thrift stores that are nearest to me are in a major college town, and that means all the college kids are prowling through them. And there are a few things more ruthless than college kids in a thrift store. Exactly. But respect the cost that both rep do. I'm a big fan of, there are a lot of people who, oh, don't watch TV. I'm not gonna say don't watch TV. I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch some, but I pass, unless it's something very good. So something very good that I'm either learning from or is really in depth. If it's TV for noise and time measure, I'll put something on and then I'm doing something that might be tedious while I'm watching it. Or better, I love audiobooks and I love podcasts. We just got through the main story arcs of Old Gods of Appalachia. And I don't know those people. I have no association with them, but I absolutely love their work. I'm also terrified of them because as somebody who studied a bit of folklore and a bit of mojo over the years, uh, they're terrifying. Like they are, no doubt, no question. Oh, my car keys. Terrifying. What title? Hold on. Psh, title. 1 second. Boo, 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 boo. This is me being me. I plug stuff that I love. Boom. Boom. That's their website. Boom. This is their YouTube channel. I will not hesitate to plug an independent creator. And they're associated with Rusty Quill, who brought us the Magnus archives. One thing, like I said, for me, I am a very multifaceted geek. Yes, I am a sword geek, and that's the primary bend of the sword. And sword, weapon, armor, martial arts. I'm also an RPG geek. I'm also what it is in part I love a story. I love a good story. Maybe not a happy story, but one that reaches out and moves me. Awesome. Uh, well, some people don't, and audiobooks are all about the right narrator. Like the one who's done at least the first of Monster Hunters International, fabulous. Um, the Old God stuff is podcast. It's great. And if you now, I am always behind on it, and I'm massively behind because I have to restart every time. But if you haven't listened to Welcome to Night Vale, please do. It's just a joy. Sometimes the weather, which is their musical section, is a little hit or miss. But yes, Technomancer, the Technomancer solution. What the Technomancer solution to fixing a point uh control issue when you don't have room for something with long point control? How do you fix that? Well, we live in the era where laser pointers are cheap. So all you have to do oh, sorry, I read something. I will get to it in just a second. Um all you have to do is when you make a trainer, you can just carefully line up on its edge as straight as possible, use a ruler, straight edge, whatever to get it lined up, and duct tape, rubber band, or otherwise affix a cheap laser pointer. Now you'll be able to easily see where it is. You can do the same thing with a flashlight if you're worried about the laser safety measures, but come on, who doesn't love lasers? I mean, we live in the future, folks. Enjoy it. Uh, now, and yeah, that's where I love the aspect of creative anachronism when I was in the society. The creative anachronism part is where it got good. And that's where people had problems, I found. But I do love the aspect of how can we make this work for me? Sorry about that, guys. This much wind coming out of my mouth, it's awful. It dries one's throat. So, oh, frog. Well, Luke's here, so Luke, keep this under your hat. But I will let you know that once we get through this business with Mr. Manos, friends, some things have happened to a few of our more interesting NPCs while the heroes were away. Our boy Johnny, well, he got caught and he had a hard time. And Auntie Noodle, well, she's got her own agenda. And deep in the bowels of the remains of the ancient device beneath the smoking crater, things are happening with a certain robot frog. So I hope you'll all be able to come back next Wednesday night at 8:30-ish for Dice Dames and Dudes, where we'll be able to get into some of that mischief real soon. Sorry, I listen to a lot of Old Gods Appalachia, and Steve Shell's voice gets into my throat a little bit there. Oh yeah, I actually made the mistake of playing with a laser pointer, forgetting my friends, uh, with their cat, forgetting that they had 3 foster greyhounds. Sight dogs and laser pointers are more fun than you can imagine. But moving forward, um, I want you guys who aren't really sure what weapon you're training in to consider a shorter weapon as we come into winter. I'm not saying a short weapon, but something in that longer than 16, but around the 24-inch range to give you a short sword because you can train with it indoors. They're usually cheaper as trainers and they work. So, as winter comes, my beloved and does that need to be restrapped? Poniard here. Wow, my old tape has come a little unhappy. Uh oh wow. But is something I'm more likely to use in winter. Oh, all dogs do, because you're moving funny and they're worried about you. So now's a good time. Now, those of you who follow, certainly who follow on the Historical Fencing Guild public group through Facebook, please join that because I want more input. I want you guys to interact as much as possible because this isn't the Nick Talkert show. No, this is the Historical Fencing Guild's live stream where we can all get yourselves. I want to connect, especially people of groups. I love when Amp Guardians and SCA and Eastern arts practitioners, Bagua guys and Spanish fencers, and we've had capoeira people. Whatever your mode or mojo is, the more you interact and test yourself both mentally and physically, the better you know your art. The more we can exchange ideas. So this is about building a community and building it up. As a sword master, I always tell people my first goal is that everybody is safe. My second goal is everybody has a good time. And my third goal is that you become better than me as quickly as possible. Now that sounds perhaps defeatist, but that's not what I'm talking about. Um, I understand I have limitations. I'm a short, fat, round man who's kind of gimpy, and I am well within the realm of middle-aged. You young bucks should be able to do some rapid harm to me. Now, if I can earn your respect in the time it takes you to get better than I am, or at least faster, I can still teach you and go from that mentor to that colleague role, because that's what I'm really looking for. I engage with planned obsolescence, and a lot of teachers I know try to remain central. Okay. A lot of people, especially like in organizations like the SCA or some of the LARPs where rank and title are kind of tied together, uh, they want they want you to rely and need them. And that's never been my goal. And it's actually gotten me in trouble with several organizations. And I'm okay with that because my goal is to help you be the best you can be. And that's, internet family, internet guild. I love you guys. And yeah, I don't know many of you. They're the vast majority of people I know. I have heard of groups where it has gone very well. I have heard of groups where it's gone very poorly, and I have been through some unpleasantness that while I realize it is beyond the norm, I can't ever not see it again. So I respect the people who are able to dream and those who make the SCA dream possible for those. But there's a part of me that unfortunately had it turned to a nightmare and I woke up. and I can't really go back to that. I am not good with trust, and once it's done, it's done. So I have mixed feelings, but I love when it works great. I get it, and I get it. That's why I'm very careful to try not to bash the organization when I have differences, when I realize there were individuals. And I don't like drama. Drama is overrated. All I wanted to do the whole time was do what I do: teach people, learn things, make things better. And I just wanted to be left alone. I didn't care about awards. I didn't care about other attitudes. And apparently it offended folks. That's okay. I'm not trying to talk anybody down, but I also won't let outside selection determine somebody's worth. If you want to learn, and I'm glad you do, Foxy. Not Foxy. I'm sorry, Feline. When it was good for me, it was very good, and I really enjoyed it. The problem was the local group didn't know where it stopped, and they would bother me at work, uh, make unreasonable expenses, and it's the whole it okay. Feline, yes, absolutely. The household problem was a major part of it. And the backlash and all that other people's drama got spilled on me when I'm like, I just want to help the people who you don't think are physically able to do this and want to do this. I worked with people with disabilities that were written off. I worked with people who were not of the appropriate religion for some members of the group. I worked with people who were not of the appropriate race or gender. And unfortunately, I taught them because I could assess how to beat people who'd been longer. And there were people who prefer to stagnate. And when the new people are getting better than you, your choice is to grow or accept or lash out. And unfortunately, some of them took to lashing out. There were a lot of conflicts. So again, I love SCA folks, and I love helping SCA folks find resources or techniques or tweak things. I actually feel I can do more service. I get to, in all, yeah, whew, I am of more service to the society and the dream from outside both of them. And be ironically, you hear that, and in some cases it was about, their church, their organization. In some cases it was people who were actually very pagan and not comfortable with Christians being among them. So I saw a diverse form of idiocy in some cases. And I aside from some simple rules, please don't summon anything on my home property and don't put any workings on me without discussing it with me. These are very simple matters of respect uh, that were too much for some people, just to be more complicated. But we don't want to talk about that, do we? I mean, I can, but I don't think it's look, when negative happens, you either okay, I got it. Negativity is just like bull, like literal cow droppings, okay? It stinks, it stains, and it ruins an otherwise nice event. Now you got two choices. You could try to wash it away and bleach it and yell and cuss, and it may or may not work. Or you can take the BS, dump it in some dirt, dump some other garbage on top of it, and use it to improve the dirt and grow something in it. So my goal, as nutty as this sounds, is to take the manure that was foisted upon me at points now several years ago, and instead of just letting it stain me more and stink me up, because it did, There are some circles where I'm persona non grata, and I'm okay with that. I don't wish ill on them. Even the people wish ill on me. I don't have the energy for that, and that goes against both my philosophy and my personal take on religion. But I can take what I learned from all that and go, hey, I'm going to just keep using this to grow some flowers over here. Now, they might not be the roses you want, but I love my little blue chicory flowers that people tell me are weeds. My yard's full of them. I don't care. I love them. And you know what? The bees and the butterflies, they love them too. So I don't care. And that's what it's about. It's about helping each other, building each other up, having a good time. And I'm not afraid to be philosophical or I will certainly discuss debate. But I also was tra- uh, traumatized. They're related to. I like dandelions. I admire dandelions. So now my little blue chicory cornflower things are related to them. I've seen some dandelions too. I've seen some absolutely beautiful. Michigan City Zoo in Michigan City, Indiana has some absolutely dandy lions. But that's my approach, and I know it's weird. But you know what? The good folks who sit here and they watch my shows and they comment, I have an amazing. Roses have a different spirit. Roses are a different animal, kind of like blueberries. Wrong kind of dirt, you can't grow blueberries. Or planting peppers around peas. My wife killed my pea plants. That's okay too. We learned something from it. Now I gotta get rid of that dirt and start over, but that's okay too. You're allowed. I'm gonna tell you something, and I don't know. You're allowed to be upset. You're allowed to be mad. You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to be hurt. Spider plants are awesome. They put out good air. I've considered getting some myself. Uh, but but don't let it consume you. It's like you're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to be joyful, but don't ever be so happy that it blinds you to the realities around you. There's a sort of balance we got to keep, folks, and it's just like fencing. If you're too offensive, you leave yourself vulnerable. If you're too defensive, eventually you'll goof up and get skewered. On either side, nobody's perfect, so you have to keep that balance. I dig the healing plants and stuff. I'm all about that. Yay mojo. But and I still have some people who are SCA and they're wonderful people. And I respect them. I just don't usually call them by their other name. Yeah, check the ego. Yeah, and that's one thing. I have been blessed with a fairly nondescript face. Me and goat face Socrates have not that much not physically in common. And I'm not as sharp as he is, but I'd sure like to be. Although, let's just say I've been offered the hemlock a time or two. I usually avoid it, but that's the thing. That's the thing. We got to find our truth and right. Now, talking about uh, balance, I want to talk about types of blocks. I was thinking about this earlier this week, and I think there's some value to talk about. Now, I years ago, I actually was involved with Sword Sage. Actually, showed up on one of his videos. Some people who watch have come here through those videos. I think Thesis might be one of them. Uh, where he was talking about guiding as a defense. You're guiding the weapon in. Now, when we are talking about parries and defensive actions here because I think it needs to be discussed in theory a little bit. And then maybe when I get a chance, I'll film something outside where I can talk if my wife is up to trying to cleave me and me talking about the different responses. There are different approaches to blocking. And just like the whole yin and yang of attack and defense, people think about that. There's still a subtle in how you defend. So what I mean is, let me see. Do I have something I can arm you with? Yes, I do. The stick sword of doom. The chain has went somewhere. Okay, so I'm giving you the stick sword. Yay! Defense is the best offense. That's hilarious. Okay, let me get. I'm gonna use this because you can see it. Okay, now y'all are armed and you're trying to chop me. Does it show as? Let's do a lateral. I like this. We could do this horizontal. Whoops. Sorry about that. My computer's trying to update, and I tell thee no. Now, if somebody's trying to chop me upside the head, and for YouTube's purposes, just so you know, this can't hurt me because it will right by my nose, but it looks good. Bam. I can do three basic approaches to blocking it. Well, let's not say blocking. Let's say negating the attack. I can use a yang approach where I meet force with force. This is an aggressive defense. Bam. Right? Their force is meeting my force. This is very much the strong person's response. A strong person who is trained in strength is inclined to power against. I will test your power with my power. And sometimes that can work. Your slap parries, things like this, chops. So now there's also a let's see, aggressive, a passive response, a yin, where I'm gonna block, but instead of force blocking block, I'm only going to persuade the sword in another direction, right? So the sword comes in. I know I'm not strong enough necessarily to just chop it, so I let it slip and persuade. So it's a thrust. If let me, I'm gonna switch this because I need to be able to stab myself and I need range. The motion. Watch. Get my thumb out there. Big old thumb. Poke. Okay. Ugh, you guys just killed me again. How many other YouTubers do you guys get to POV kill? Now, hard, right? Exactly. Guide it. Now, when you see me demonstrate the guards, let me see how far I can get on this cable. I teach this very stiff angle, right? This angle right here. I'm not saying go all the way, usually. I'm saying pop. Why? If a shot's coming down, so if you're hitting, let me try to get this where you see it. It guides it. Very good, feline. You are someone who knows what they're talking about. Now, I can, you know, no. Go, that is the cursed parry, but let me get where you can see the contact point. Bam. I can totally do that. In many cases, I can to establish and then use its inertia to ride in. Absolutely. You were spot on, flying feline. The other is voided, where this is coming. I can't block it, so I'm not going to bother. I'm just not going to be where it hits by the time it gets there. So it's a sliding sort of it is a scale, a spectrum of defense. Johnny, I think you are far cleverer than you like to admit, largely because if you admitted you were as clever as you actually are, people would hold you to it. And both you like having stuff kind of tucked away in the back, and you don't want the responsibility of having to be as smart as you can be. And that's now you're getting uh where Bagua defense has a mentality of Spanish offense. And yes, I'm still researching it. It's a complex question you've asked me. And that's something I like. I like to think about it. Now, why am I talking about this especially, and why am I talking about it now? Because this is See, I have the gift of I'm just not that impressive, so underestimate or estimate, I just am what I am. Boo, boo, boo. Fat guy happiness. Anyway, so, and a lot of it, this weapon especially is designed to parry and to set up for a bind. It's set to let them encourage them to do something stupid. And look a slight curve here. It's wired to be a dick. I'm going to let you make a poor life decision. Now, why am I talking so much about this? Well, part of it is understanding your strengths. If you are strong enough to meet, why would you? Like Nick, people will always say, Nick, you preach. Oh, that's okay. Love you, Cindy. Uh, you preach very, very passive, very flowing. Yeah, I'm all about being I am the water. Bordering on the ang grade of nope, nope, nope. Nope is a fencing style I have been told that in the right mood I can pull off. I should have bought more of these. I always regret not buying more of these. I love these daggers and I can't have too many of them. But why the aggression? Because it's the next beat. So if you are able to be passive, you minimize, and your response then grates one way. If you could counter suddenly, you could brute force an opening and come in. And neither are right or wrong, but neither are moral either. And part of the problem we have, both as, especially, and I know a lot of my audience is female, but a lot of men are taught if you are not taking the aggressive approach to every problem, you're failing or you're somehow less manly. And that can really, it messes with your head. And because of my size and the way my mind works, I've had to learn to flow around problems rather than oppress them immediately. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It has its weaknesses. But you can take this to other things. When people come looking for an argument, you don't have to argue back. One of the hardest things for somebody like me is to scroll down and see somebody say something mean, perhaps unintelligent. The, you know, as my dad would say, snake mean and stupid, and engage it because it's wrong, especially if they're bullies. Oh, gets my hackles right up, folks. I cannot abide a bully. But sometimes, folks, that's what they want because they're stronger than you, either through volume or wealth or power. They want that engagement. And sometimes it's literally because something is broken inside them that has nothing to do with the situation, and they want the power fix. So sometimes, and I am at my happiest when I can, let's take that energy and redirect it over here, and have you think about that. So it's the equivalent of if somebody's running at you, I'm going to beat you up. And you just sort of persuade them off to a couch instead of you have redirected their energy. Now you could set like a shield wall and bam, hold. You can do that too if you're a football player or oriented. Or you could just be like, nope, and let them go by. That takes the least energy out of you. But that doesn't, you have to learn to balance it. And just like I want to say feline said it, check the ego. A huge amount of success strategically in life, happiness often is found at and certainly serenity, which is not the same thing. Peace is not necessarily happiness, uh, but it's found at the price of ego. So when you're fencing, one of the greatest experiences I had in the SCA in my entire about 12 years I was active was it was at Toys for Tots in South Bend, Indiana, and a gentleman by the name of Peter Von Dorn. He, I believe, was a disgraced former king. There was a whole bunch of drama. So naturally, I didn't give a dang about that. But he was doing a fencing class where his goal was to tell you what you're doing right, which is very, very different than most people's approach. Most people you train with, okay, you're doing this wrong, let's fix it. Let's build your weaknesses, which I like. He's like, let's find out what your strengths are. Now, this gentleman, Peter, uh, was a heavy, I mean, he made king by right of arms. That means he's a heavy fighter, very tall, 6 lots, incredibly strong, long arm, longer sword. So when I was fencing him, I knew I couldn't parry him. If I tried to parry this gentleman, he would simply push through my defense and skewer me. And I knew that as soon as I got uh tacto. Nick's using terms again. Let's talk about tacto for a second, then we'll go back onto the story. I need 2 vaguely lightweight swords. So this is a something like a foil. This is a something like a foil. As soon as I'm gonna try and get where you can hear it. As soon as the blades contact, information is being passed back and forth. Strength, weakness, are they pushing? Are they yielding? A huge amount of information is made by how the blade is moving in contact. For somebody who's trained, it's tactilely very loud in that you learn a lot. And the Spanish had the term tacto. Excellent point. Excellent point, Thesis. And thank you, Foxy. Please don't forget to like. I'm really trying to stay online here, and I'm fighting it. Right, and we'll get to that too, Foxy. I knew he was physically stronger than me, so I would take the sword, and as soon as he would get in contact, I would refuse his blade. So if he was doing anything to control my weapon wasn't there. I totally yielded. Everything was void, take the shots I could, because I knew beneath this brace, back when I was in fighting form, my right wrist was held together by elastic. I've got torn fascia from here to about here, and that doesn't grow back. And I'd broken my wrist badly, so I wore a different kind of brace, which meant I couldn't, like leverage, I'm going to lose on my right hand. And my left hand, while stronger, still ain't going to hold up to a heavy fighter. So if you know, right, but knowing when to apply force and how, that was what he was like, this is really neat. I've never had anybody just refuse my blade so much. And his range was much longer than mine. So instead of fighting him, I stayed outside of his range, and I'm an arm sniper because I knew, oh yes, push hands. Now I will talk about push hands too. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's what that easy was. Gotcha. Uh, it's funny you mentioned that, Thesis. Uh, because I used to do push hands. I was being trained in push hands by John Miner, a channel local regular. And we used to do a variant form of push hands, and I learned a lot. Now, those who know, he's 6'4". He was 250 to 350 pounds. Very large, very powerful man. So I was always working against a stronger force. Um, but occasionally, with strong force comes strong momentum. And learning that moment where instead of guiding them away, you put your force behind theirs as you're redirecting is a game changer. But to pull it off, you need to be able to. And the other thing people talk about, it's very surrendering. Your core never surrenders. That's one thing you have to understand. The offset to all this, um, his was a mix of Tai Chi and Hapkido and some other shady things. I'm not sure if Chisao was it, but use it against him or at least disregard. I like to use it against other people. I'm a melee fighter. So it's like, let me take the shot and we're just going to skewer this guy over here. Do you mind skewering your own guy? Thank you. Thank you for skewering your own guy. And then take the open shot. That sense of give and take. But there's always a but. My core, my center, I'm moving. I don't know, and it's great because right now I'm on a rolly chair. I'm twisting and I'm doing things. That center is solid, and realistically, the center of my being is only moving in a circle about this much. I'm only hula-hooping that much because I am redirecting, but yielding or surrendering is radically different. And what has to happen is you also have to understand as you learn this, there is a point where you cannot yield without harm. So what happens, where's my happy little dagger, is I have been known with large men to actually do a modified parry where it'll come in and they're pushing through, even through a redirection. And I'll bring my off arm up. Now, obviously, this is more a, let me get a bit more suited weapon for this. This is also why I tend to like single edge. Thank you. I used to play Wing Chun a little bit as I was the intelligent dummy for Sword Sage, so I picked up a lot back in the day. This, especially on a curved weapon, is a very natural. Hey, I understand. Feline, thank you so much. Your commentary's been really valuable, and your attendance is really, really appreciated. Where the sword comes in, and I realize even with a glancing style block, I need more support. So I will offline here and almost half sword. I'll use this, and my elbow tends to want to come to bear from some of the other things I've played, where the idea is punch comes in, arm comes out, and as it's going, you're redirecting their arm in a very parting the horse's mane, and that brings an elbow strike into play. Well, and that's the idea. I need to know, and it's funny you say that. Thank you. I take that as a tremendous compliment. Know where your center line is, both in combat and in philosophy. I accept ideas and I process them. Science, logic, politics. I can discuss anything, but there's a point where my center line is my core being that isn't moved. It has my identity in a few things is how it is. And then I decide how everything else pivots around it. If you are too rigid, you can't learn and you get chipped away. If you're too flaccid, you don't hold up to anything and you're blown around. You have to find that center. Physically, it's when you're standing and you feel that point of balance where it's, I am here. If you watch me square off on fencing bouts, I can do this all day, pop, 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 and I'll play around. And then I'll start to square off against somebody like Trelena or somebody I know it's going to be an active. And there's a moment right as it's where it's my goal as a martial artist. I do have some goals that I pursue aside from getting healthier and being less fat and being a little better with what tools I have, but is to live in a state of being centered. Centering up is not something you should only do while meditating. And now I center. You know, centering while philosophically, religiously, spiritually, however, now I'm center. The goal is to recenter so often that you become center and then you don't have to anymore. Or it's only vaguely diagnostic. Center. Balanced. I can move, I can stop. I am neither floating nor rooted. And that from that position you then choose. You want that sense of absolute zero. I can go forward, I can go backward, I can ramp my aggression, I can pull it down. And from that place of balance, you have perspective because you're not factoring, you're not having to factor, I'm amped up, so I have to be careful. Anybody who's fought has done that. You're sparring and you're like, I'm amped up. Whew, I better watch my calibration. If you can do, oh wow, there's a sickle on the floor. Where's the sheath for that go, I wonder? If you can do that, you aren't thrown off balance. And Wing Chun is a wonderful art, but if people don't focus on the speed too early, one of the great dangers I found in Wing Chun practitioners is that they focus on going bah, 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 bah. They want that speed. And speed is good, but speed is nothing without control. Speed is irrelevant without control. It's detrimental without control. Speed. So you want a flow. Being able to redirect is a lifesaver and it's efficient. But you still have to maintain that center. So it's like if you're having trouble with math, you have to go back to the previous concept and go back over it because there's something wrong. If your lunges are wrong, check your thrusts. Your point control's probably off. Okay, well, if that's not it, you ratchet back. Is it your step? And work your way through it. Using my dad brought me up with certain rules. You always establish a perimeter. For me, my perimeter first, it's radiating, and it's my mind, what I'm thinking, and then my physical perimeter is everything I can reach just short of being fully extended. This is not my perimeter, because at this point, I'm not effective. Here is my perimeter. This is where my reach still has an effect on what it encounters. And yeah, Foxy, Wing Chun is great for that. As somebody with leg issues, I've played with that, and I like to be able to flow. My problem is I've dabbled and I've played with so many things. I don't know what I do. I once got accused of being a devout Aikido guy because of the way I move, and I've never studied it. I might need to look into it. And I've done a little bit of Iaido, which is in the family, but only a little bit. I'm a factotum. I sample. I test. I get little tidbits. Now we are at past the top of the hour of my thing, so I want to remind you guys that I'm going to drop everything. That the Circle Fencing Guild is brought to you by the Fighting Axe and the Simple Sword. If you want to learn the basics of the techniques I'm discussing, you will find most of it in these 2 volumes. Some of the more advanced stuff, well, that's stuff that's coming. But folks, I can only write them so often. Now, I'm also a proud member of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network, and I am made possible by the www.patreon.com/Historical Fencing Guild. Yes, folks, the Historical Fencing Guild's amazing patrons are what let me buy the gear and keep my computers up to date and keep the lights on and my background so YouTube isn't digging me about pictures behind me. And just exactly. Now, Thesis, you are right in my ballywick. Thesis just said something to Foxy in chat, but it's very important. Said Tai Chi for balance and fluidity, Wing Chun for close quarters, and Distressa for swordplay. This is a great triad for what we do. It's not the only one, but you can't get everything you want out of one specific style. This is why you need judo, BJJ, and then Muay Thai, pretty much, or boxing, wrestling, and then kickboxing to make a balanced MMA fighter. And that's the thing. This might shock you. Foxy says, I like Tai Chi as long as I'm not trying to do the low dips. You don't have to. You don't have to. Okay? If my body is in a situation where it can't do something, then that is the moment of mental yin. That is the okay. I have a problem. The problem is it hurts to do that. I can't do that. What can I do? Now you can avoid it. You can be like, I just don't do that. That is a valid response. It has prizes. Or you find an alternate. Maybe you do just enough to get you through. And like I said, I understand that. And the other thing is never fully write off a tool, because as you do more, you may limber up, you may not, but there's always a chance. So if you can't catch, it's like me and proper Italian lunges. I don't do them. I hate full lunges. They hurt. They're tactically unwise. They're only good in a duel. I hate lunges. I'm not a duel fighter. I'm not a duelist. I am a weapons master. I am a sword master. I am a melee fighter. I am tactical. I am strategic. I am not about macho ego. I must prove I'm right by stabbing someone. Really? When did that make anything better? I don't like your words. I will hurt you with metal. Exactly. Work with your body. If your body tells you no, look, I have a big book around here of just martial arts. I think it might be sword-based martial arts. Like this thick, of dozens of different styles. I keep it so that I can look up styles I haven't heard of, because I've been doing this. I've been messing with swords my whole life at this point, and I've been teaching people for over 20 years. I knew enough to be able to teach the basics to people 20 years ago. I still have to double check styles and references and look things up. I still check medical things. I'm still learning things about how my body's moving, because you're best. And she's a cosplayer, she's a fitness icon, uh, does YouTubes and TikToks and things by the name of Autumn Ivy. Yes, some people are being all thirsty. Pause. Accept that you're thirsty for her and let it go for the purpose of this conversation. Some people are kind of offended because she's all about the tats and she's kind of ripped. She would make a really great She-Hulk, in my opinion. And but let all that go and just what we're talking. Hi, Dark Moon. But what she said is, you are doing your best for that day. And your best today is not necessarily what it was yesterday, and it may not be what it is tomorrow, good or bad. Our bodies change because of chemistry, because of our mindsets, because of the weather. I am dramatically affected by the weather. Oh, yeah, I sound like two wet 2x4s. Okay, I'll get up and my knee literally sounds like somebody took two wet 2x4s and clapped them together. Same with my hips. That's part of why I have nerve damage. We're working on that. Yay! I might get to dramatically change my overall fashion. Yep. And don't feel that going low is necessary unless you feel it is. Find what works for you on a scale that works. And don't be afraid to embrace that. All right? And guys, please hit the likes. When you guys are sparring, boom, 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 boom. Remember, and this is really going to offend a lot of martial artists out there. It isn't a fight to the death. That's self-defense fighting. Self-defense fighting is a whole different universe. Self-defense fighting is ugly and it's nasty. It is not about education. It is not about improvement. It is about living through the next 30 to 45 seconds. It is ugly and brutal and not fun. Then why are we sparring? You're trying to get better and you're trying to learn. Get better has different meanings. It's not just about a point scale in an RPG. It's about your understanding. It's about testing yourself against other people and learning new things about them and you learning new things about you. It's a conversation. And if anybody's coming at it hard, like I'm here to beat you and prove I'm better than you, if you are of the proper sports mentality where you're like, that's fun, let's see who's better. If you're going full anime protagonist and you accept in your soul the understanding that they may be better than you and you can't be mad about it, you can't like, how dare you be better than me? No. Then you can do it. But most of the time, most of what we do, it's like, you're not giving your all. No, I'm not. I've had people try to hurt me. In response to people trying to hurt me, I've had to give significantly more focused effort not to be hurt and to survive. That is not fun. It's not good. It's a huge failing. Anytime violence is necessary, like violence, okay, to do harm to another is necessary, there's been a massive failure on all parties. You know, it's tragic and it should be preventable. There are always exceptions. Now, thesis is getting. I teach Kitty differently than Foxy because Kitty is a dancer. And she was, yeah, guys. What do I always say? Find your fight. And when you're training somebody, you want them to find their fight. Kitty's fight is going to be dramatically different than Foxy's. Thesis's fight is dramatically different than Dark Moon Miracles. Everybody's fight is different than mine. Okay? And guess what? I'm fly my geek flag here, but infinite diversity and infinite combinations breeds strength through testing. That's where you learn. You learn what works and then you do what works for you. IDIC. Not bad through the nerve damage to pull off a Vulcan salute, but please, by all means, live long and prosper, all of you. We need to keep that sense of moving forward. in our training, but in our attitudes. Like I actually have had times in my life when my hands worked where I enjoyed weightlifting. Okay? I enjoyed lifting heavy objects and putting them down. Because if you're doing it right, it's very therapeutic. Now, if you're doing it to accomplish something, e.g., splitting wood, it's downright spiritual because you get to release your anger, you get to purge yourself, but you're still in control. You're still part of a process, and you can sort of lose yourself to that where you're doing the job and you're finding that rhythm, and then you're finding that motion, and then you're finding that rotation, that so your body starts to learn how that works. And we are not stagnant creatures. Humans are not meant to languish. And I don't believe that we should. Now, I'm not saying don't be still. There's nothing wrong with being physically still, especially as restoration. Healing is an activity. Resting is an activity. Finding peace and tranquility is an activity. Because at the end and at the beginning, breathing is an activity. We do not passively exist. We exert pressure on the universe to continue. You breathe in and you breathe out. You are pulling air from this rock hurtling through space at inconceivable speed. You're taking it in, filtering it, and putting out what you don't need. This is an act of wanton defiance. This is your heart is pumping blood against gravity. Our very being, our very mechanical existence, as short lived as it is a defiant blaze against sedation. It is a we fight forces immeasurable, immortal, and inhuman. Every minute we take it for granted because we don't have the perspective. We fill our minds with static. Learning this and because everything comes from breathing, because that is the most core basic thing you can control. If you're upset, what do they say? What? Calm, breathe, slow your breathing. And I know sometimes it burns. You ever been so hot, so mad, you're about spitting sulfur when you exhale to calm down? Good, Arian. Like heat and hate just pouring out you. That's because you're human, or as close to human as some of you get. Love you, Johnny. But and that's okay. And it's important because from that we build our circles out to affect the world. All right. Now we've gone deep, we've gone metaphysical, and I think we talked some valid points about types of defense. Think maybe we should lighten the mood and dim the lights. Let's get a little spooky. Folks, Halloween is coming. And every year, yours truly, in one way or another, puts out his Halloween warning. Some of this may seem vaguely derogatory, possibly even offensive. If it offends you, I apologize for your feelings, but not the content. What am I saying? I'm going to make it real simple, guys. Please, don't be the white people in horror movies. Okay? I watch a program called Duke's Top 5. Top 5 ghosts caught on camera. And many times, vast majority of time, That is a direct response to people being stupid. Like, I want you to think about every really good long-standing horror movie. There's a moment, and I call it the old guy in the truck. You know, like the campers, you got the teenagers. Ha ha ha! Now they've already stocked up on booze so that they will be inebriated. You know that. Look, come on. Hi, Cindy. And you just missed. Rewatch this one, Cindy. I got good on this one. If you missed it, but then they're gonna go do something stupid. Okay. And in every horror movie, there's that moment where the old dude, you've seen him, he usually talks with a bit of a draw. It says hopping vampires. Oh, I love that. I love that movie. Okay, sorry. It says, y'all don't go in them woods. Luke Garou, he come for you. You know, and then he drives off with his dog, and in most movies, you never see him again. Meanwhile, the teeny boppers get slaughtered for being in Luke Garou's woods. Don't do that. Okay? As we get closer to Halloween, stupid stuff may or may not happen. But I will guarantee you, if you go looking for stupid, okay, look long enough and hard enough, you will find it. And it's like, oh, we went in the okay, urban explorers. Where? Oh, I'm sorry. Um, but stupidity. Yes, you know, I love the spirit and the idea of the urban explorers. We're like, we can go somewhere we've never been, and then they go trespassing and stuff. Abandoned structures are rarely unoccupied. We have a whole lot of people living in this country who are mentally ill, financially impoverished, uh, addicted, or otherwise befuddled from society. And instead of taking care of them, we don't. So if there's a big building in the woods that everyone knows is abandoned and you're desperate, folks are going to go live there. Well, this was an insane asylum before they closed it down. You know what they did? They kicked out most of the inmates. Well, at one point or another, those people found their way on the streets. So what are they doing? They're going home. We heard scary noises at this asylum. Well, in a lot of cases, that's because somebody is living there. And guess what? If it is a ghost who's living there, leave them alone. Because you know what? I spent some time helping people with problems. And most of the time, I didn't have a problem with it because I'm a nice guy. But there's a point where, gosh darn it, folks, if you go looking for trouble and you find it, there's a measure of deserving there. Well, see, cemeteries usually are very passive places. In the United States, there is a waiting period before a body gets put there entombed. The vast majority, certainly modern cemeteries, the chance of having anything metaphysically associated to it are limited. Now, you might find some idiot who wants to be the crow being stupid out there. And if he's out there and you're out there, one or both could be stupid. Now, old abandoned buildings, you either have homeless folks, metaphysical weirdness, environmental problems, unshielded electronics, asbestos in the air, animals. Ain't nothing there. You want a spook? Go to a charity, preferably haunted house, where you know people are going to jump out and go, "Blah!" Go to HoloCon down in Georgia. Talk to Joe uh, not Jody McVie, Joe McKeel, and tell him Nick sent you. But well, see, and it doesn't bother you, but you're not going in to haunted places that belong to other folks. Leave it alone. Like, these woods are spooky. Yup. That's your brain telling you something isn't right. Now, there's some theories that go out where uh, that sociological theories that you actually, it's psychological, hallucinate spooky stuff as a survival mechanism. because it tells, the people who did don't get out by the real stuff. Sometimes you just see stuff and it gets complicated. Syndicate best not meddle with ought not be meddled with. Yes. You'll hear a funny tone in my voice when I get real passionate about the stuff that shall not be. Leave it alone. Because either see, and everybody's got stories. Now, you have to ask yourself, did you have any business being there? Really? Like, okay, what I mean is, there's a building. Exactly. We're going to get to that, too, because I want to talk about ghosts. Just a set of theories. But you go to a big building, like, oh, that's an abandoned building. There's stories that you'll see somebody dead in there. Something will come for you, or there's monsters. Yep. If you don't have business in there, don't go. Now, if you have business there, now you're in the right. You have formal business. Be respectful. Be polite. Don't mess with stuff. That's where you switch over from leave it alone to do no harm but take no crap. You know what I'm saying? And again, we go right back to our defenses. What are you going to do? I'll put my force against an unknown supernatural entity. Now, I have friends who right now would be puffing up. I can do it, blah, 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 blah. A mix of shotguns and shamanism. And maybe some of you can. And some of you end up Pooh Creek without a river because what you thought was one thing turned out to be something else entirely. And now you have a problem. And I understand. Well, and see, if you have a reason to be there, you have a reason to be there. If you're respectful, it's fine. But I gotta admit, I am so tired of seeing ghost hunters go in and like, if you're here, make a sign. And you start to get communication and they're like, leave. Or I don't like it, so I'm going to be rude. Imagine somebody walking in your house who can't see you. Right? I mean, I'm going to be like, imagine a blind person. Blind person comes into your house. Is somebody here? Yeah, me. Maybe they're part deaf. And this is not shot on either of those. Johnny, that's funny. But and you'd be like, sir, you're in the wrong place. And they start yelling insults. Then they wonder why you like kick them out or you yell at them or do something. Because like, this is my house, leave me alone. Look at it from the ghost's perspective. I've had some cases like where I've looked at stuff and it's like, no, y'all had it coming. I love Ghost Adventures. I think it's fun. Zach Baggins is a hilarious guy, but he's a dumbass. At least he was. He got smarter once he took his licks. But the first few seasons are comedy gold because it's like, hit me, ghost. But with a Jersey accent that I can't pull right now. And then, oh, I got hit. Ah! Dude, it was the basics. FA yields FO. F around and find out. He F'd around and he found out. Don't be that guy. Tell you something else. A few of those people, I wonder if, there's a problem, but it's following them and has nothing to do with wherever they're going. And they should. I hate to say it, as much as I believe in supporting the living and being a good guy and helping people out of problems, sometimes if you're going to be stupid, you have to feel pain. Now, I'd prefer you not be stupid, and I'd prefer you find a way out. But if you keep going down that path, you're going. Yes! Crikey! No, okay, I'm going to do it. 1 second. Crikey, we're here at Redacted Sanitarium. We just found out that these blokes have been summoning demons. Oh, look, the room is getting hot. We've got EMF spikes. Looks like a big one. Let me listen. Turns on the EVP. Get out. Crikey, that's a fierce one. Let's poke it with a stick. And then the dude's cut up, and you never find him again. Come on, people whom I love, dear. And I say that honestly. If idiots can get online and beat their chest and turn bright red and spit all over the place, hating people they've never met, I can turn lightly pinkish, probably spit a little bit, try not to, and love y'all, whether I know you or not. Equal and opposite force. Don't be those people. You know why? Because either, if you're moderately to fairly fortunate, you have something you have nightmares about. If you're fortunate enough to learn something from it, you don't do it again and you get a little tingy. Well, yeah. Yeah, and you know what? If Luke rented the house and you didn't know it and he shot you in the face with a shotgun after growling at you like that, you deserve to catch the shotgun. I feel like Betty White sometimes in Lake Placid. Some of these people, I hope the ghost messes them up. You done goofed. No, sometimes you get tired of pulling people out of the path of the graboid. You know what I mean? Burt Gummer's got to be tired of telling people to wear their seismos and stay off the loose dirt. Sliced bread is the greatest thing since Betty White, and God bless that woman. But so last couple weeks I've been talking about how to be a better monster. I started with vampires for our boy John, and we went over lycanthropy last week. Now I've been trying to figure out what to talk about this week, and I'm thinking maybe it's time to talk about our undead friends here. And I'm talking your spiritually ghosty types. What should you do? How to be a better ghost? Well, one, set up the rules and follow them. Stick to your territory. Okay? If you want to keep in an environment, don't be a dick about it. Moonlighted Claws is out in the world. What's Moonlighted Claws? I mean, other than the stuff that's out there that will eat your face. Hide out in the cheerleader locker room. Thesis. I mean, if that's going to float your boat as an disenfranchised spirit, yeah, good for you. You ever think threshold works for them? That's why you feel creepy when you go into their places. Don't be a dick, okay? And know your limitations. Don't be afraid to duck out. Because if you're a spook and you spook the wrong people the wrong way, they'll call them the big guns. And you don't want to deal with the big guns because there's always a bigger fish. Likewise, you got to hide from your own kind because they might eat your face too. There's more ghost on ghost violence than anybody really wants discussed in certain circles. And you never want to deal with the things that were never human. So it's best to mind your P's and Q's, keep your head down. If you're going to haunt someplace nice, better to be bored than exercised. And maybe you can get right with everything and move on forward. But I am torn because what I really want to do is give you one of these on how to be a better psycho, but I don't think I can, because if I give you that information, somebody used to, ooh, Moonlighting Claws is an anthology about lycanthropy. Morgan Thanu, I know that, Engineer, Leaf and Tree, and Gemina Stex are exploring Toxiturtle Why no Toxic Turtle? Toxic Turtle Swamp to investigate a werewolf report. That sounds familiar to me. Lord in heaven, that sounds familiar. Yeah. Well, think about, like, I want you guys to go watch some of the, Halloween's coming up. Who doesn't love a good ghost show? There are two kinds of people who get in inner things with ghosts. People who are starting stuff and people who don't deserve it. Now, if you're just, I'm a bus driver, trying to drive my bus, and the ghosts are getting on and messing with me, you gotta be careful because your job is to ferry folks around. If you can be civil to them, usually they'll just sit in the back and you give a ride and you realize it's a little creepy. But hey, your job is to drive. Let them do their thing and they'll let you by most of the time. If not, that's why we have the Catholics and other major religious organizations to intercede, trained professionals. Please don't have to call people like me, because 9 times out of 10, the people who show up aren't that good at it. And when they are, they have to deal with now I got more nightmares about places I don't want to go. So, I swear I'm not related to Marcy Walker, but anyway, but then again, who knows? My point being, I love the old shirt that was floating around some of the Taps Ghost Hunter guys had, that ghosts were people too. And people are jerks, and some people aren't, and most want to be left alone. So it seems to me the best thing in the world, where those who are no longer with us in body, but maybe in spirit, is to leave them alone. The other thing is, around Halloween, all kinds of stupid comes out. And yeah, you've got your supernatural elements. This year is, let me think. This year is a waxing crescent, and we're coming off of a whole bunch of retrograde weirdness for the astrologically type folks. So all that means, at least by those systems, mind you, and I'm not saying I condone it, I'm just saying if I remember my stuff, that it's a time of severing. It's a time of ending things. And that's interesting because this is when the veil between, according to such traditions, the veil between the living and dead is at its narrowest. And that's a lot of severance. That's in many ways, the year is dying, because that's what happens around, fall. For people not of the Julian calendar, which again, it's not necessarily me, but I do like to know my way around other people's systems. World kind of dies midwinter and then comes on back in the spring. So it's a little shady right now. A lot of things are ending. And you know what? I'm going to say this. This might sound odd. It's a good thing, because it was still 2020 last Halloween. And from Halloween to Halloween, I think there's a lot of stuff that could use a break. We could use an end to a lot of things. An end to the pandemic, an end to the stress, an end to the pressure. So let's try to work there. We also lost a lot of folks. So leaning more towards the Day of the Dead side, be extra respectful. There are a lot of new ghosts this year. A lot of angry folks, a lot of people who didn't expect things to go the way they did. There's, if you're looking at like people who've been through trauma, well, it seems to me maybe just being extra gentle, give them their space. I often say, don't be a dick. And this is another time where that rather ambiguous advice fits really, really well. Don't be a dick. And I just realized what fell down and clattered. Okay. So I'm going to ask you guys, as Halloween approaches, have fun. Nick, you've been all this maturity. No. Have fun. Watch your scary movies. I can give you a list of some of my favorite B grade to actual horror movies. Things some people know about, some don't. Basically, if Vincent Price is involved, you're going to win pretty much. But have your candy, have a fire, but be respectful. And if you see something, don't invite it in. Don't make any deals, but don't be rude either. Tip your hat to the lady, tip your hat to the, you see the white lady walking down through the woods, you just tip your hat and go about your business. She's about hers. No, no, the Day of the Dead, and this is me not mispronouncing something as I realize I dropped my dice box, so now I have to get my dice up. Uh, Coco is a really great movie about it, and I just don't. I look at it like this: when I die, if I'm religiously and spiritually wrong, and there's nothing left, then I kind of follow the whole Marcus Aurelius plan of I've tried to do good. If I'm right-ish, and there's stuff on the other side, well, I'll do it the best I can. But I can't see justification for rudeness. I can understand violence. I can understand uh, danger. There's justification points, but rarely is there any justification in being a dick. You know, uh, even most predators aren't dicks. I mean, they'll eat you, but they don't usually mess with you. Now, there are exceptions, but don't you think you want to be better than a douchey predator? Like, from a mentality standpoint? I think you're going to do better than that. So do so. Uh, if you know there's a legend about something going boink, you really want to know, that's what trail cams are for. You want to put a trail cam safely out in the daytime accompanied, and come back and see, ooh, did I catch something on the trail cam? Have at it. It's kind of voyeuristic, but it's better than tromping around in the dark. Because, like, okay, I'm spooked. You're going out somewhere. The woods are not friendly. I got 15. The woods aren't your friend. I love the forests. I love the woods. I've camped. I've hiked. But you have to respect them the way you respect the ocean or the Great Lakes. Okay? They have their business. Okay? Big overarching business. And their business is totally comfortable with ending your business. So if you go out in the woods and you get spooked, you see something. Oh, something's spooky. What's the threat? Maybe the spooky is actually a threat. Maybe not. But I tell you what, running through the woods, half scared out of your mind, that's a threat. You can and will hit trees, trip over things, fall down, slide down, impale things. Bad stuff happens when you move spooked. One is always, maintaining professional composure to the best of your ability at all times, and one is not going somewhere where you have to work hard to maintain your composure, your professional composure at all times. Like, because I'm going to tell you, you mess with the woods at night enough, it will damage your comb. And folks, I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to come back next week, enjoy a loving video where I talk about swords and shenanigans, and keep on keeping on. So we're gonna hop off of that. We got some more conversation, don't we, Not Bob? Yep. Yep. Okay, cool. Drop Not Bob. Not Bob rolled a 4. Anyway, before we go over, let's do a quick recap. I'm planning leatherworking. So I have new stuff that should be coming mid next week. So I don't know when I'll get to start because I am still in the long process of moving an extremely large storage unit. The Well, that's not Bob. Bob's up top with Horatio, my gargoyle, and a few of his best friends. They are on a shelf looking across over my brick wall over here at Faustifer, the See No Evil gargoyles, and Dude Thulu, the old one of caffeine. My study, while completely a pit of disorganization where everything has fallen and I really need to work on it, is also a very interesting place. And when it's done, it's going to be more so because I'll get my Mojo stuff up here. I'll redo the Wall of Geekdom because it's really in need of a redo as I get some of my stuff. And it's just going to be it's a good time. It's a good time in here. There's a lot of creative, insane energy with the Shoggoths flowing around and Lydia. Lydia as well, for folks. This is the season when I should bring her out, but she's been so busy. Well, I might bring Lydia out for a song and dance later or whatever. But it's a good time and it's a good. I'm digging it. I am digging it. But just be careful. Keep your mojo out, guys. Now, we're gonna do that. I want to do a video because we are in this really neat window where it's not death heat and it's not frozen. So if I can get through some stuff in the garage, I might do some advanced boffer making. So give you a crafting video from what I lovingly call the bonehead boffer, all the way up to something more plasti dipped and stylish, possibly some HDP work, things like that, if there's interest. As always, I am at the beck and call of my beloved Patreon members because the Patreon members, if they say, hey, I got a question about something, if I don't know about it, I'm going to come on and I'm going to try to look it up and figure it out. I am still very challenged by the Bagua and Destrezza correlations. I'm having a lot of fun looking into this. So I will get into that thesis. It isn't that I have been neglecting it. It's that this one takes some work to really get tacked down. So it's really a pleasure. It's a very mental and physical exercise where it's go through motions, look online, go through motions, look through books, go through motions, balance out what you think and what works and what doesn't. It's interesting. And that's what I love about what I do. I am, amongst other things, a former librarian. I would still be a librarian, but there were some safety issues. And some scheduling issues because I had a very simple schedule and they couldn't keep to it. And I take care of my son, so it wasn't negotiable, was it? No, it wasn't. Da-da. So, did you see it? Anyway, you're right. It really is fascinating. And I love looking into it. And yes, I'm doing a lot of RPG stuff, but for me, it's all drawing at different ends of the same, different spices in the same soup. I want to understand it. And my sword stuff goes to game design. Game design makes me think different things about sword stuff. So it's like, okay, how do I want to handle reach weapons? I don't know. Let's go outside and play with a reach weapon and figure out how it feels versus other things I have mechanical knows of, And that's it's all interwoven and it's beautiful. That's why I'm slowly my Crossing the Streams initiative, where I'm taking art and I'm taking gaming and I'm taking metaphysics and I'm taking uh, swordsmanship and all these different things that are all parts of the same puzzle. And I'm weaving something here, folks. And I'll be honest, I'm not even sure what the pattern's going to be. But I truly believe the intent with the creation of this little project of whatever it is I'm doing across what I sell on Amazon and what I do, even the goofy. It is 18 and up because language and concepts get a little rough. On Dice Dames and Dudes over at Red Valkyrie Presents. That's my Wednesday evening activity. That overlaps with some of the stuff I talk about when I crash Stupid O'Clock or Brian K. Marsh's shows or I put my books out. I'm still This winter will be a winter of publication for me. I have a lot of partial projects I'm going to grind out and just polish up and put out across a diverse spread of crafting and martial arts and basically all my pieces are starting to that I've been working on behind the scenes are slowly condensing into individual concepts that I can throw out there, and I'm really pleased with that. I will be focusing on lower cost kind of easier to budget items because I need to make more stuff. You guys need more small content. You don't need big content. Although, that saying said, I am plotting in the farther background some very sizable projects. So we'll see how that all works out. We are about 5 minutes from the end of the show. So before I end it, I do want to make sure that my comments are open for anybody who has any questions or commentary for the end of the show. I do want to really appreciate this. Has been a very interactive night, and I really needed it. I enjoyed it immensely because that's what this is supposed to be, where people talk about questions and ideas, and it resonates. If I am getting commentary that resonates, like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from, that tells me I'm on the path. And I do hope you all feel comfortable enough to say, wow, Qigong and Tai Chi. Oh. They are slightly different styles. Some of the forms are different. Some are the same. If I said I understand it, but I can't express it at this time, although I do believe that Qigong. Oh no, no. See, what you did is just hand me one of those where I find myself like looking at it. It's not fully in the got no idea, but I will. But it's very difficult to process. I take Qigong, and forgive my enunciation, between not being a native Mandarin or other dialect of Chinese speaker and my speech impediment. Good Lord, I mispronounce stuff. So there's no offense. This is just my mayonnaise leaking out. God, that's a bad joke. Anyhow, I take Qigong as a more applied. I see Tai Chi as a more, even though the motions are used very often, Tai Chi is the more meditative, and it is the focusing more on the therapeutic aspects and much more internal. Both are soft arts. This isn't like karate where it's hard arts. It's a soft art. Yeah, see, oh, that's right. I have to. Oh, I think I see Qigong as more metaphysical, perhaps, is a good way of putting it. I'm having trouble forming the words that I need to express this concept. So I'm going to look into it more to make sure I can get the thoughts bracked out. And I also have to remember, when I was talking about application, it wasn't necessarily standard physical application. This is interesting. I'm gonna have to process that one. See, you guys are amazing because you give me questions, and if I'm not sure of, I can say I don't know for sure, and I'm like, I don't know for sure. I had it, and the more I look at it, the less I feel comfortable saying it. So I'm gonna say I don't know, because guess what? You can say you don't know online, and research it and know more later. Because I'm still more of a Western practitioner, but there's a place where a lot of that overlaps. I find it interesting. So that will be a bit of homework for me so that I can answer it, because I don't want to say the wrong thing. So I will go through my notes and my references, and I will see what I think. Excellent. Excellent. No. Sorry if you heard that slight. That was a metal arm, but I have a few minutes. It is telling me, however, that it is 10 o'clock local time, which means it is time for me to say thank you so much for spending your Friday nights on the Historical Fencing Guild live stream. And just amazing questions and amazing commentary. We got metaphysical, we got tactical, I will definitely get back to you. And I love these kind of things. We are a proud member of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network, and the Rising Tide Broadcast Network is spearheaded by a guy by the name of Brian K. Morris, who's one of my patrons. He's an amazing person. He's a publisher. He's an author. He's a sometimes artist, not as much these days. Heck of an editor. And he's trying to just help a bunch of creators get better at what they do. So please support them. Cindy Kep is one of them. We have others who come floating through. Uh, the Historical Fencing Guild and the live stream is made possible by, we'll do one more plug, bam, the Simple Sword and the Fighting Axe, as well as the numerous game and fantasy and things I put out, all available at www.amazon.com/author/Nicholas Tucker. That's me. I literally keep all my prices as cheap as Amazon will let me for my content. So, remember that. If you want to help keep the lights on and be able to help me be able to afford to buy things, so if you don't have to, consider becoming a Patreon member. We have ranges from $1 a month all the way up to $50 a month for the people who are looking for different tiers. I will be clarifying, and I'm going to be adding some new stuff real soon to that. We just put a $10 tier in because I got some people asking, can we can't afford 20, but 5 seems underhanded. Can you split the difference? I'm like, sure, I'll set up a $10 tier. And of course, the $50 tier, where upon your first month, and I have it confirmed, I will shoot a custom video on a style of your choosing if I am qualified to give it to you. And if not, I'll do my best to qualify it. So thank you so much. We will be back here the same time. That's 8 o'clock Eastern on the Historical Fencing Guild live stream. Be good to each other. Keep your guard up. Hydrate. And folks, as always, support your local swordmaster.